Fox News Alert Secretary of State Antony Blinken just announced Joe Biden is going to Israel.
On Wednesday, President Biden will visit Israel. He's coming here at a critical moment for Israel, for the region, and for the world.
John Roberts is live in Israel with the latest. John.
You know, Blinken is really burning the midnight oil because don't forget, it's about 20 minutes after 3 here in Israel, and he just made that announcement moments ago. In fact, he was scheduled to do an interview with us last evening. They said they had to cancel it because there were so many moving parts and things were moving very, very quickly. So I guess they were putting together this visit by the president during that whole evening. Blinken has been here for a few days now. He's traveled to all of our Middle Eastern allies, trying to reassure them that the United States is still on their side. Even countries like Qatar, which has been acting as a go-between between Iran and Hamas, which raised a lot of eyebrows here in Israel because Qatar is also trying to negotiate the release of these hostages. So I'm trying to read the tea leaves here. Biden coming, Jesse, on Wednesday, as all these Israeli troops have been sitting there massed along the border with their heavy armor and tanks. We thought that they were going to go in on Friday. Then on Sunday, we heard something about, well, the weather's not right. Now Biden is coming on Wednesday. There won't be any ground operation before then. So I'm trying to figure out here and put the pieces together. Is Biden going to try to talk Bibi Netanyahu out of mounting a major ground operation, or will he give Israel his full support behind it? Don't forget, last week, President Biden said that the U.S. was standing fully behind Israel. And then last night on 60 Minutes, he said, well, I don't think it would be a good idea for Israel to reoccupy Gaza. That's an important statement because if Israel completes its task, Jesse, or its stated task at least, of getting rid of Hamas, Israel's got to do something to govern that area. You can't leave a power vacuum because anytime that happens, the next bad guy just steps in and takes over. So we'll be watching and waiting to see the posture of the IDF forces, whether they go into a little bit more of a relaxed posture. Now, that is to say, still with full security, but not looking like they're going to cross the border imminently, and whether Biden will try to talk Netanyahu out of a full-scale ground operation, because criticism worldwide to this operation is mounting. Egypt's El-Sisi said on Sunday to Antony Blinken that Israel had gone beyond its right of self-defense now to what he called collective punishment of the Palestinians.
Yeah, they're under pressure internationally and the clock's ticking for sure. But you're right, the timing of the visit is interesting because in Europe, there were a lot of other leaders in the West who went to Kyiv and visited Ukraine during that assault from Russia. Joe Biden was last. And now all of a sudden he's, 10 days into this thing and he's already there, first foreign leader on the ground. What does that tell you, that messaging, that symbolic messaging?
Well, you just have to look at history here. How many U.S. presidents have gone to a nation that's already at war and poised to mount a ground invasion? I can't remember any, Jesse. So the fact that he's coming here as these Israeli forces are poised to go into Gaza, I think is part of a bigger program here. I don't want to say he's looking for a ceasefire, but there may be some inkling of a de-escalation. We'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, well, that would blow up in his face. If there's a de-escalation push while he's there, after those atrocities are still seared into the memories of the Israeli population, into the world, I think that would do severe damage to Israel's security and severe damage to Joe Biden's standing here at home and abroad.
You're right on that front, but I think here's what the U.S. is looking at after Blinken's shuttle diplomacy. And the fact that he's still here, he's going to Amman, Jordan from here, and apparently he's going to stay in the region for a while, and that's probably to help cover the president's visit. But I think that there's a sense, Jesse, that if the ground operation is mounted, that the region could blow up, that Hezbollah could get involved, that it's got all those guided missiles, and the first target, the top target will be Tel Aviv. And we've seen what's happened over the past week with Hamas firing rockets toward Tel Aviv. Sirens were going off all day today. So if Hezbollah were to get involved and then another nation got involved, I mean, this thing could quickly grow into a conflagration, which is why the USS Gerald Ford is here, the Eisenhower is on its way, and now the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which was doing exercises in the Red Sea, is moving closer to Israel. We don't know if it's going to go up the western side of the Sinai Peninsula through the Suez into the Mediterranean, or it might move closer to the Gulf of Aqaba and the southern Israeli city of Eilat. That remains to be seen as well. But the full force of U.S. deterrence is on display here, with the idea that this could turn into a tinderbox very quickly if this ground operation gets underway.
And that deterrence has to be believable, because if it's not believable, then Hezbollah is going to counter. The Iranians, the Syrians, they could counter. So really the entire credibility of the commander-in-chief is on the line. If he wants to give the Israelis room to maneuver in Gaza, that threat has to be real and it has to be believable. And I think it's going to be tested over the next week. John, thank you. I got to run, though.
It's going to be a very big trip for the president.
It really is. It's going to be consequential. We'll see how it shakes out. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.